events or at anything, you're probably going to hear the same thing. Why? Because I'm doing the same thing. So that's all I can share with you, to be honest.
Okay, before we get started, I do want to say Ellengton is the #1 recruiter in the room with 37 recruits in 20. And as you know, she's been up in the top 5 recruiters in the last several years. She is a definite source of excellence in this category, and that's why we asked you to speak again.
Thank you. So I really don't have anything special that you probably haven't already heard. One of the things that I think has helped me to become a decent recruiter is that and I call them my 3 C's, is what I go by. I feel like I'm very confident about what I'm doing, and I think if you get up in front of people at your shows and you're not confident, people see directly through that, and nobody wants to follow anyone who's unsure. It's just not going to happen. So if you're not at that point, I haven't always been this way, but obviously the more you recruit, the better it feels, the more confident you become. But that's something that I've worked really hard at, and I have a lot of people that tell me that on my shows. You were so confident and you seemed so secure about what you were saying, and I think I do want to be a part of this. So it's not that I'm saying anything any different, but I think you have to work to be confident. You also have to be very compassionate about what you're doing. So I love this business. I think it changes individuals' lives every day, whether it's from a consultant standpoint or whether it's us putting great tools in people's homes where they can have that family time around the table. So no matter what aspect you're looking at it from, we are changing lives. The company is changing lives, and I think that's something that you have to be extremely compassionate about, and you have to send that message to the people that you're working with at your shows. The third thing is you have to be consistent. And at our workshop table yesterday, I think one of the biggest mistakes that people made is they find something they hear that is great, whether it's something I'm doing or someone else is doing or home office is trained, and they have 6 shows scheduled. They go to the first show, they're all excited, they do it, and they don't recruit. So what happens? They don't do it anymore. Well, obviously it's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? I do about 10 shows a month. I may recruit about 4 a month, sometimes more, sometimes less. So there's 6 shows that I'm not recruiting at. But if I didn't continue to do those at every show, I wouldn't get that number 4, which is my ultimate goal each month. So it doesn't matter whether you're doing the ticket activity, the card activity, the envelope game, or talking about the kids. Get really good and confident at that and do it at every single show. Now, once you've done it for a period of time, if it's not working, then yes, it would make sense to look at doing something different. But if you begin to recruit on a regular basis, then don't change it. Keep doing that. So confident, compassionate, consistent, those are things that I have lived by for many years now, which I feel like honestly contributes to the recruiting success that I have. I don't do anything different. I'm a big storyteller at the beginning of my show. I do telling my story at the beginning. Particularly, I made the decision to do that. Some people tell it later in the show, but they don't know me. And I want that as my first opportunity to kind of wow people. You know, us as women, if a beautiful woman walked in the room that was dressed really nice, we'd all kind of be looking like, man, she's really well put together. So that's the impression that I want to initially have with every guest in the audience. So I start the show by thanking my host and guest. And then I tell them I'm going to do a quick introduction of myself, and I promise not to bore them with my long life history. And then I go through my spiel. Now, some people are kind of bashful about their accomplishments with the company, and I don't think you're telling a true story of you and your business when you're shy about that. You've got to be proud of the things that you've accomplished, the places that you've went, the things that you've achieved, because nobody's going to want to be a part of something that you haven't done anything. So if you get up there and just, I'm Kayla, and I've just been doing this for a couple of years, and if I'm sitting in the audience, you sure ain't gonna excite me. I'm not gonna want to feel the need to want to be a part of that. But if I get up and I say I'm Ellengton, I've been doing Pamper Chef for 9 years, and I absolutely love what I do. It's been a phenomenal, and I tell them that I work full time and I have 2 kids. Everything that I tell in my story is something that is relatable to the guest. So there's a purpose behind it. I tell them that I'm a mom. Why? Because I just gave all the women in the audience that are at my shows permission to do this business if you're a mom. Some people may be sitting there thinking, there's no way I can do this. I have 3 kids at home. That's bull. You can do this because I have 2 boys and I do it. I also tell them that I work full-time. I own a mental health business. I employ 75 people. So I don't get to sit at home all day. I get to get up, go to work, but this business still allows me to achieve a lot of blessings from it, still working full-time. So I just gave Kathy permission to also do a direct sale business, Pamper Chef, even if she is a full-time nurse or whatever the case may be. So I'm letting my guests know it's doable, okay? I let them know that I started this business because I was a horrible cook. I was one of those moms when I told my boys it was time to eat, they'd go to the door because they knew that did not mean going in the kitchen for me. So if you're Sheila and you're sitting in the audience and you're thinking, I may can sell lip syncs or I could do something else, but I couldn't do this business because I couldn't cook, I just gave you permission to do this business because I didn't cook. Okay? So when you're writing your story or telling your story, they don't need to know that you won a state championship back in the high school days and I used to weigh 120 pounds. They don't need to know that. They need to know the information that's going to get them attracted to what you are selling. Okay? So I tell them all of that great information. Now, some people kind of disagree with this part. I tell them that I've been doing this 9 years and I've earned 9 vacations. Okay? I'm proud of that. I'm not saying it to be boastful. I'm not saying it to brag, but I'm saying it because I want you to know the blessings that come from the business. Okay? That's what people are attracted to. So I share that in my story. I tell them that my first check was $700, and here 9 years later, I make as much as about $7,000 in a month. Now, some people say, don't share that. Well, if I'm broke and I'm struggling paying my bills and I'm sitting in the audience, is that something I'm going to be attracted to? Should I be ashamed of that? And I tell my guests, it's not something that I'm boasting about or I'm not in here to brag about my income. But you know what, Kathy? I want you to know all the blessings that comes from this business and the potential. So that's my person, and I share that. So that's not really about me. So I have no qualms about it. And each person is different. That's just the way that I do mine at my shows, okay? I let them know about all the free products that I get. I come home twice a year, and it's like Christmas because I have all these fabulous products on my door. So if you're wanting to fill up your kitchen with great things, you know what? This is something that maybe you should consider. So that's all a part of my story. And I'm jumping around, but those are the things that I share. Okay? So that's the very beginning of the show. I go through my show. I do not do a station style. I do a round robin show because I am a control freak and I like to have complete control of what goes on in the show. So I spend very little time on my show. 45 minutes, I am completely done. Never longer than an hour am I still talking about products. Okay, I hit on the main core products, the rock products, those things. I do you a quick demonstration. I show the products that are going to wow you so that you can get those on your order form. I spend my time, the majority of my time, talking about the business at the end of the show. I play the card game. I pass out a deck of cards. I let everyone know there. And I do the card game after 2 drawings. Okay, I do 2 drawings. And then I say, okay, for you guys that didn't win, I'm going to give you one last opportunity to go home with a free gift. And so I'm passing out cards, and I say the object of this game is you're going to try to earn as many cards as you possibly can. The more cards you earn, the better your chance is at winning. The winner is not going to be based on the person with the most cards. It's based on the person who has the most points in their hand. And I'm going to tell you how to add those points at the end of the game. Now, here's the magic. How you earn the cards is you have to ask me questions about my Pampered Chef business. Do not ask me anything about the product because I'll be happy to answer those later, but you will not get a card. Only the business. Each time you ask a question, I'm going to give you a card. You can ask as many as you want, be as personal as you like. At the end of the game, I'll say stop. We'll total up the points, and the person that has the most points is going to go home with, and I pull out a mix and chop. Now, there's a little theory behind my mix and chop, and you can give whatever you want, but I will tell you, if you're raising up a $2 cookbook, Season's Best, or a citrus pillar, you're probably not going to get people really excited and want to participate. That's just my personal opinion. It may not be right, but that's my personal opinion. So at the beginning of the show, I'm going to back up. I allow each guest to introduce themselves and tell their favorite product. Well, I've done 1,000 and some parties, and I've never had a party where someone did not mention a mix and chop. So that is my reason for selecting that. When they do, I stop the introductions, I run to the kitchen, I get the mix and chop, and I come back and I make a really big deal out of it. Oh my God, who in here has this mix and chop that Kayla just talked about as her favorite? A lot of hands will go up, but sometimes a lot of hands don't go up. And I go, okay, if you don't have anything in your kitchen, this is a must-have. This is my #1 selling product, and I tell about all the great things. I allow the guests to also tell it. So, in my mind, now I have everybody excited about the mix and chop. At the end of the show, when I say, this is the gift that you're going to go home with, what do you think everybody goes? Oh my God! And they're all excited. Now, you always are going to have people who are very guarded and sitting there looking like, I don't want to hear this, and I'm not going to ask you any questions. So I say this at my shows because it's my personality. I say, you know what, I'm going to tell you ladies, just like I tell everybody at all my other shows, even if you're sitting there thinking, girl, I could care less about your business, the smart thing to do would be to still ask questions so you could possibly take home the free gift. And everybody cracks up laughing, but what do you think happens? All the guarded people just kind of let their shoulders down. So I've given them permission that you really don't have to be interested in this, but you would be dumb to sit there and not still ask questions. So everybody immediately starts asking questions. And so I answer them. I tell them we're going to play for a few minutes, but I do not stop the game until I have no more questions. Probably about 90% of the time, I have no cards left in my hand. I've worked to get really good and quick at answering the questions, so it sounds like I'm there all night, but I'm not, because those are very short, precise answers that I'm answering very confident. And the beauty is I can answer them exactly how I want to. Okay? So that's all I do. Okay? I also do we talked about the red dot. So usually there's 3 or 4 people at your show who are going to be really, really the dominant people of the game. They're the ones that's going to ask the most questions, seem the most interest. So when they come up to check out, that's really where the magic in my mind happens. So they come up, Kathy comes up, she was a great participant, then I would compliment her at the full service checkout. Oh my God, Kathy, you were such a fun person. I so enjoyed having you here tonight. Thank you for all the great questions that you asked. And I'm just curious, is this something that you could ever see yourself doing? Or was there anything that you heard tonight that excited you about the business? And then I just shut up and I let Kathy answer. And then some people will go, you know, yeah, those trips sounded really good. Well, you know what? I would love for us to be able to travel together. You know, what particular questions do you have about the trips? Would you like to go on trips? Or if they say the money, then I say, you know what, one show we can make the money back that you invested in the kit. So I answer all the obstacles. When they have no more questions, I usually will look at them and say, well, Kathy, sounds like I answered all your questions. Are you ready to get signed up? And then I just wait for Kathy to answer. And that's what I do at every show.
Amazing.